Okay, so we're just going to get right to it and practice today. I think a lot of times our yoga practice becomes this refuge for us. It does for me. I hope it does for you as well, where times, whatever the day is holding for you, it's an opportunity to stop, to kind of just step away from the treadmill of living, whether it's the treadmill of the mind or the schedule or just kind of reading the news. Gosh, it could be anything. Our practice is this opportunity to just allow us to step away from the currents and kind of get into the eddy of the stream where there's still water. And it's so important. It's just so important, whatever it is for you, whether it's meditation or your asana practice or anything. Allow your practice to be a refuge for yourself when you need it. So let's go ahead and close our eyes and take a moment to acknowledge how you are, to take stock, notice, pay attention to what has your breath been like so far this morning since you woke up. Have you noticed a breath? Is this the first breath you're paying attention to? How has the state of your nervous system been? Have you been high or low, jittery or smooth? Are you rested? Are you not rested? Do you have a lot of things in your mind that you're kind of strolling through or working through? So, whatever you're finding, let's see if we can notice these things, kind of pick them up, notice them, and then just put them down. And each time you acknowledge something that's happening for you and you put it down, come back into the breath and into the body. When you breathe in, how does it feel? Can you feel the breath traveling into your lungs? When you breathe out, how does it feel? Can you soften the shoulders and rest? Is there a place where the tension that creeps up in our necks and shoulders can just kind of slope down, slide off, creating that feeling that the shoulder blades are awake on your back? There's nothing, you don't have to do anything strongly with them, but to have an awakeness in the back of the body, an open heartedness in the front of the body. Check in with your diaphragm and notice if there's tension. See if you can melt and allow it to move. The pelvis is spacious, grounded. The legs, same, grounded, feeling that sense of weight and heaviness. Imagine you have a tether deep to the very base of the earth, the center of the earth, where your legs and pelvis, can just melt and connect to a much deeper force that supports us, holds us. And place the palms together and offer an intention. What is it that you need today from your practice? Okay, and then release the hands. Now, before we get up and move, I just wanted to either teach you if you've never learned it before or remind you of Sitali breath, which is a wonderful heat abating breath. So it's hot out, right? We've reached summer, and the 100-degree days, 90-degree days are here. And this is a very simple breathing technique that you can use when you're feeling overheated. So you have to be able to roll your tongue. So hopefully you have the genetic capacity to roll your tongue. All right, so all you have to do, I can't do it and talk at the same time, but all it is rolling. So close your eyes, roll your tongue inside your mouth, and you're going to breathe through the tunnel that you just created with your tongue. And then you can breathe out through your mouth or your nose. Relax your tongue while you're breathing out. And notice when you do this, see if you can get the feeling that the breath is coming in through like a wind tunnel where it chills the air. I'm not sure about what the physics is, why the air gets cooler doing this, but feel the coolness come into your lungs, like you're bathing your lungs in cool water. And let it permeate as far and wide in your body as you can get it to permeate, whether it's just in your lungs or if you kind of feel it through your shoulders, your arms, your head. Just feel that cool sensation take over you as you breathe in through your curled tongue and breathe out easy and relaxed through nose or mouth. So of course, normally I tell you to breathe through your nose as much as possible, and this is a mouth breath, but it's a very specific technique that can really give you the feeling of coolness when you are hot. I don't know if it would take your body temperature down, probably not, but it will give you a sensation of cool that you can marinate in for a little while. So take one more, and then exhale and let that go. And when you're ready, let's come off of our seat and onto our back. Okay. All right, so lie down. All right, and just take a moment, stretch your arms, stretch your legs, and enjoy what this does to your nervous system. The waking up, that morning stretch, feel the way through your sides. Stretch one side a little longer, then the other side a little longer. And enjoy the back bend that's living in this pose, the invigoration in your spine, and mostly just the invigoration in your nervous system. And then release that and go ahead and bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, left and right. Just feeling that sense of sway through the body. So, sometimes when you do this, you may just rock through your pelvis. Try to get the rock all the way to your head. Okay? So you just like a boat bobbing back and forth, left and right. And just feel the soothing in your nervous system now, what rocking can do to your nervous system that's more soothing. And then one more time, stretch your arms and legs up overhead. Feel that not so soothing, but more invigorating sense in the nervous system. Stretch the right side, stretch the left side. Deep breath in. Exhale, knees into your chest and rock one more time. And let's turn this into some circles. So if you always circle the same way with your knees, try starting the opposite way. Just give your nerves something new to chew on. Okay, go the path less traveled. Circling a few times, paying attention to how your sacrum, your sacroiliac joints feel. And then go the other direction. Finding your breath. Trying not to go anywhere without the breath. So it's our constant companion through our practice. If we're taking refuge on our mat, our breath is the refuge. Right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Wiggle out your toes, spread through your ankles, move around. Wake up the shins, the calves, get all those places that get sleepy sometimes when we're sitting for a while. And then go ahead and switch sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Feel the spinning of your ankles and shins on this side. Keep the feet moving. Wiggle out your toes. And then go ahead and bring the right knee back up. So big wide circles, pull the knees apart and swing them back in. Okay, go on the angles that feel like a nice smooth plane of movement through your hip joint. And notice the difference between your two sides. Notice where maybe it isn't so smooth. So do you have any snap, crackle, pops, a grinding sensation in the femur bone? There's all sorts of topography on the head of our femur bone that may not be as smooth as it was when we were, little tiny person. Okay. All right, and then relax. Go ahead and grab a strap and wrap it around your foot. Bring your foot straight up in the air. If you don't have a strap, just hold behind your leg. Left leg so right leg is in the air, left leg on the floor. You can either straighten your left leg, or if you need a little bit more softness, put your left foot on the floor. And try both. Don't assume, oh yeah, I'm flexible, I can straighten my leg.
Sometimes bending your foot, your left foot on the floor, can give a lot of freedom into the pelvis for a little bit more maneuverability to keep the head of the femur bone back. Stretch up through the foot and down through the hip, lengthen through the spine. Just enjoy. While we're here, we're going to flex and point our toe. So it's, don't let the strap fall off your foot so you don't have to go super big in that movement. Just opening the calf. You can do some circles if you want. And then we're going to take the strap into the right hand and open the right leg out to the right. Feeling the inner thigh get some opening, the inner hamstrings. Feel free to have your left leg straight on the floor, left foot on the floor. You can let your left knee fall out to the side if your foot's on the floor. So whatever feels nice in your body. Deep breath in and away. Taking refuge in the breath. Close your eyes, sometimes removing the senses. That pratyahara, stepping away from the attachment to your senses, is also a refuge that you can take in the body. Cross the hand, the strap into the other hand. Cross the right leg over to the left. Right heel of your right hand into the hip crease. Press it away a little bit. Just get into the sensation in your outer hip. And a lot of times when we begin our practice, we don't hold a stretch for a long time. Usually I like to move a little bit before holding some stretches. So just notice the difference when we're not as warmed up as we might be holding a big stretch. And then go ahead and release that back. Put 2 feet in the strap. Extend the spine. Feel the difference between your 2 legs. And then keep the left foot in, and the right foot either is on the floor or the right leg on the ground. You decide. You can hold the strap with 2 hands or 1 hand, whatever feels good to you. Extend the spine. Check in with the pocket underneath your low back. There should be a little gap so that you're not pushing your low back into the floor. Have a little neutral spine, which means the low back curves into the body. So we should have just a tiny little space under there. Reach up through your foot and down through your hips. Stretch through your toes. And let's start to stretch and point this foot. And enjoy. So, calf opening, the front of your foot. How often do you stretch the front of your foot? The top of your foot. So just enjoy what you're feeling. You can feel free to swirl your ankle around. It doesn't have to just be flexion and extension. Take a deep breath. Long exhale. Take the strap into the left hand. Open the leg out to the left. That right leg can be on the floor or foot on the ground. You can let your right knee butterfly out. What feels nice? Extend through the spine. Reach through the foot. Big toe mound stretching. Inner heel stretching. Spine stretching. Come into the breath. And then reach that leg back up in the air. Take the strap over to the right hand. Left hand, heel of the hand into the hip crease. Press that foot away. You don't have to have your hand in the hip crease, but it helps to keep the head of the femur bone, get that sensation of a little space. Extend the spine. Notice what you're feeling. And then as you're ready, lift that leg straight up in the air. Once again, 2 feet in the strap. This time, feel the spine grow. Extend the spine. Lift the heels. Take the femur bones back. Feel that little gap underneath your low back again. So try not to push your back into the floor. And then we're going to bend the knees. Take the strap off and find a big old starfish. Open your body up. Stretch arms and legs wide. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale one more time. Spreading things out. And exhale. Throw things in. And then go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. And so find some movement in cat-cows. Okay, so feeling that sense of movement through the spine. So tailbone, crown, everything in between. How's your breath? Can you take refuge? Close your eyes. Be in the spine, be in the pelvis, be in the ribs, be in the head, be in the shoulders, be in the hands, be in the knees. And then take your time, swirl this pose around. So you can move your pelvis, you can move your shoulders, you can move from side to side, move your head around. What's helping you kind of wake up and open up the body? And then stretch your hips back toward the heels and come into child's pose. Walk the hands, if they're comfortable, overhead. Inch those fingers, feel the length through the sides of your body. Walk the hands over to the left side and open the right up. Enjoy, let the neck relax, let the hips dissolve toward the heels, and open up the side of your body. Ribs broad and free. And then come back to center and go the other way. Arms over to the right, feel weight come down. Relax your head. Long, steady breaths. Remember, the nervous system loves long exhales. And then come back to center. Come up onto all fours. Let's inhale. Reach the right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down, coming into a twist. Left hand can root into the floor, shoulders away from the ears. Breathing deeply here. Notice the restrictions on the breath. Move into that. Inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground. Let's change sides. Left arm lifting. Slide the left arm underneath. Gaze toward the floor. Right hand pressing into the floor. Relax the eyes. Deep inhales, deep exhales. And inhale and lift that arm all the way up again. Place the hand down onto the ground. Dog pose. So stretch out your body. Lengthen through. So hopefully your legs are a little bit more open than they sometimes are from the stretches we've already done. Bend your knee one then the other. Sway a hip. Get some movement in there. Feel free to find anything that feels good. So movement in the body can be really nice to begin a practice. Push off the hands. Feel the extension. Notice if there's any divot. Do you drop the shoulders? Do you sink the thoracic spine? Is there any place that you need to give a little lightness to, brightness to? Relax the heads, melt the eyes. The head, you only have one head. Relax your head, melt the eyes. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. So just fold a little bit. Feel free to wag the tail around. Feel free to have that sense of loosening through your shoulders, your head. Just feel the spine. Inhale for a halfway lift. Stretch and lengthen. Full exhale. Melt in. Bend your knees as much as you want. Push off your feet. Rise up. Reaching the arms to the sky. Remember your tricks. If you're dizzy, to squeeze toward the midline and tuck your chin. Find your breath. Reach up. Open. Cactus your arms. Spread out your wings. Exhale and round in, fold again. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release, back down. Step your left foot back, your right foot is forward, coming into a lunge on this side. Feeling the sense of spaciousness across your chest, across your collarbones. Let's start moving here. Square the hips, relax in. Feel your breath move you. Nice, try to stay with the breath as you're moving through the body. Enjoy what you're feeling. Remember to take refuge in the breath, taking refuge in the sensations of the body. The breath and the body sensations are just right here in this moment. It's one of our greatest tools for staying present in this moment, which of course is one of our greatest tools for coping with all of the stress of our lives. The more we are present in this moment, the better off we can be. Go ahead and put your back knee down onto the ground. Inhale, hands can be on your blocks or on your knee. Feel the extension through the hip flexor of the back leg. Stretch your knee away from your belly button.
Find your breath. When you're ready, hug that back in a little bit. So front heel and back knee coming toward each other to support the lift of the spine. Reach your arms up. Find your breath here. Just a little bit gentler than a crescent lunge. Just see what's here for you. And exhale and release back down. Take your hands onto the inside edge of your right foot. Your back knee can stay on the ground here, or if you have a little bit more availability of mobility, you can lift that knee up off the ground. Feel a sense of stability through the upper body. So find plank in your shoulders, your chest, your core. Find that deep opening in the hip flexors, as well as the deep compression in the flexion of your right hip. Step that foot back, dog pose. Extend through the spine, inner spiral the thighs, sit bones widening out. Feel your head rest. Relax your eyes, melt a bit. Deep breath in and away. Let's bring the opposite foot forward. So now we're going to lunge with our left foot, hands on blocks or not. If you don't have blocks or don't use blocks, find your way into some movement. Square hips, relax your head as you straightenish your legs. Find the flow. Find the breath moving with the body. Try not to go anywhere without breathing. See what it feels like to close your eyes, to be inside your body a little bit more instead of having to gauge all of your proprioception from what your eyes see. Let's gauge really truly from what your body feels. And then the next time you come into a lunge, let's put that knee down. Just enjoy the stretch. Open through the hip flexors, lift your spine. You can keep your hands on the blocks or put them up a little higher on your knee. Feel the breath. And then hug back. So front heel and back knee supporting each other. So hug them toward each other. Also hug your inner thighs toward the midline. Get your legs to support you and then lift yourself up. So notice the difference from when you don't use that strength to support you. What happens in your low back when you fall in the pose? So keep hugging the legs in, finding the length upward through the spine. And maybe your arms don't like to be overhead. Maybe you'd rather have them somewhere else. So you find whatever it is that you're looking for. Discover the breath over and over. And then as you're ready, release that. Bring your hands to the inside edge of your left foot. Your back knee can stay on the floor. Your back knee can lift up off the floor, whichever is best for your body. Shoulders away from the ears, collarbones are broad. Stay rooted through the big toe mound. Find your breath here. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Shoulder blades down the back. Feel the pocket that your left sit bone is dropping down into. And then this time, come back with that foot coming into dog pose. Extend through your spine. Feel your breath. Feel that fullness. Inner spiral your thighs. Get the heads of the thigh bones to move back. And then come forward into a plank. Steady yourself here. Hug to the midline with your hands, with your legs. See if you can keep the shoulder blades firm on the back. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Lots of center strength in the body. And then come down carefully. So however that means to you, to come onto your belly. Take a deep breath in, Sphinx pose. Elbows are on the floor. Extend through your spine. Exhale and melt back down. Cobra pose. Take your hands closer toward your chest. Inhale, lift up. Maybe your body goes a little higher. How's the back? How's your breath? Exhale and melt back down. Scooch to the right side of your mat and bring your left knee up high toward the chest and come back to a Sphinx pose with your knee up high like this. So when you're here, make sure you're not overtaxing the back. So engage through your core, pubic bone lifting toward navel, and see if you can imagine that there's a sandbag or a gentle hand kind of compressing down into that hip joint so that you get a deep flexion in the hip. Feel the spine grow. How is your breath? Okay, we're going to turn this into a twist. So come lie down, take your right arm out over your head, and then stretch. I always run out of room when I do this. Let's stretch open
Maybe you run out of room too, so you can always cactus your arm if you can't fully open your body up. Let the knee leave the floor. Open across your chest, a big twist in the body. And then relax and come back down. 2 legs back. Scoot yourself over to the other side of the mat. If you're on a rug, you don't really have to scoot. But if you're on a wood floor on your mat, then make sure you have mat underneath your knee. Come up into Sphinx pose on this side. Notice the difference. Feel the hip flexor stretch on that left leg. Feel the deep root of the right hip flexing. Extend the spine, support with your core. Keep breathing. All right, and then we're going to find our way into a twist on this side. So stretch the arm, take a breath. Feel free to cactus the arm or straighten it, whichever you have access to. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Find your breath here. Find the big twist. Try to let the knee leave the floor to whatever point the spine needs. And then exhale and release back down. Come up onto all fours. Find your way into any kind of movement that will nourish the spine after that twist. And then find your way all the way to dog pose. Stretch and lengthen. Inner spiral of the thighs, sit bones wide, femur bones back, spine long. Melt the face. Take the refuge. Go ahead and then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Rise up, push off your feet, reaching the arms to the sky. Open things up and place your hands down at your sides. Pause here for a moment and feel the yielding in your body. Allow your feet to find their way deeper into the earth. Knees are soft. We're going to stand on our right foot. We're going to take tree pose, but we're going to do it twice. And the first time, we're all going to keep our toes on the floor. So turn out, it's just to wake up the hips a little bit, to get some of that external rotation muscles that do that alive, awake. Find your prop if you need some balance. Allow the femur bone to move back. Soften the knee that you're standing on. Deep work in the rotating the hip. Find your breath. Stretch your arms up. Deep breath in, deep breath away. And then let's go ahead and spin that foot straight, place it down, and turn the other side. So our toes are still on the floor. Try not to sink your hip out to the side. This kind of defeats the purpose of where we're going. So keep that hip bone in, the knee is soft, and work to rotate the hip open. So try to pull the knee back, but our foot is solid on the floor, not solid, our toes are solid on the floor. So there's a little bit of a challenge. You know, it's a little bit harder in some way when you have your foot on something to rotate the hip open. Feel the arms reach toward the sky, finding your breath. Try to take notice of how your breathing is moving through your body. And are you more comfortable on one side than the other? Do you have better strength or rotation or balance? And then release your hands. Arms up to the sky. Exhale, chair pose, arms back. Inhale, chair pose, regular chair pose. Femur bones head back into the hips. Feel the weight move into your heels. How's the low back? Can you find a neutral curve there? Extending, and remember your arms can be wherever you want. Start to wake up the quads now, getting some strength. Or we breathe. We're going to come back to that tree pose and do it again. Don't worry. We're just going to take a detour before we get there. Inhale, arms up to the sky. Take a breath, cactus, open the arms, separate the feet, and fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift, the spine grows. Exhale and melt back down. Step the left foot back, the right foot comes forward and turn to the side to open up. Okay. Turn your feet out, feet are on the floor. Come into a little bit of a goddess pose. Bring your hands onto your knees. So there's a deep stretch in your inner thighs. And then lift your chest. See what it feels like to be more upright. And just go back and forth a couple of times. Find where you want to breathe through this. Where you bring your torso up and you bring your torso down. Finally, come back up, straighten out your legs, arms come to the sky, and we're going to come into goddess pose. Remember, you can be up here, you can be down here, you can be wherever you want to be. Okay, so find balance in your legs, spread out your feet, feel the roots grow in your toes.
Find the refuge of your breath. See what you can do to spin your feet. So the toes spin out, the heels spin in. So we're working with getting those external rotators online. Open up the knees, try to track them over your ankles instead of letting them cave in. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. And then stand up straight and tall. Take a breath, turn your feet out to the side. We're gonna flow here. So come into Virabhadrasana. Arms up or in, however you want to be. Exhale and find your way. One more time. Exhale and find your way. So now bring your arms wherever you want them to be. Maybe you're traditional and have your arms out. Maybe your palms are up. Maybe you got some platters. Maybe you want your hands together. Whatever works for you. Try not to push this hip forward. Try not to push this knee back. Do just the opposite. Take the hip back and soften the knee just a little bit forward. Find the external rotators of this standing leg. Spin the foot so the toes turn out and the heel turns in. Deep breaths. Find your refuge. Close your eyes if you can or want to. Soften your shoulders. Deepen the breath. And then go ahead and straighten the leg. We're just going to ping pong back and forth between the two sides. So notice if you have a hip that moves a little bit more freely versus one that doesn't. If you have a knee that's a little bit more stable than one that isn't. Just notice how these things affect your movements, affect your ability to support yourself. Keep flowing with the breath. And can you allow yourself to have differences? So we're always seeking symmetry between our two sides, but we really are not very symmetrical beings. We move we have lots of movement patterns that are different from one side to the other. So if you need to come up a little higher on one side versus the other, do that. Protect your body. Be where you are able to sustain. Full breaths in and away. What do you want to do with your arms? Whatever you're doing with your arms, keep the shoulders down. Soften the back knee. Let the hip move if it needs to. You can turn that hip in a little bit. So there's a difference between turning the hip and taking the femur bone. So even if your pelvis needs to turn, take the thigh bone back. So we're not letting the push of this thigh bone come forward. Breathing. Feel the external rotators on this front leg. So even if your knees, so like my knee hurts when I go all the way over my ankle, I get a little pain. So I'm backing away so that my knee feels happy. See what it feels like to track your foot, toes out, heel in. Wake up the rotators in your hip. Find your breath. All right, and then go ahead and come on up. Turn back to your goddess pose, but this time our feet are straight. Thigh bones move back. Like sense you can keep your hands right at the root of the thighs and move them back. Soften your knees. Start to come into any depth that you want in this posture. Deep breath in and away. Come back up. Turn your feet out. Come back to a goddess pose. Lean forward. Take a breath. Exhale. And then as you inhale, come back up. Spin both feet. Find your breathing. Do you want to be high? Do you want to be middle? Do you want to be low? And then go ahead and come up to stand. Turn your feet back to the first side. Parsvakonasana. Place your elbow on your knee. Open the chest. Stretch your arm overhead and find that extension. Where are you with your pelvis? Do you need to rotate it a little bit to have ease? Are you able to open it up? Can you keep the back knee from pushing back? Spin your foot on the front leg. Toes out, heel in. Deep breath. Shoulders are away from the ears. Find the work deep underneath your glutes in that front leg. There's a lot to be had. And if you want your glutes to turn on that leg too, push your foot into the floor so that you get the glute max to turn on. Same with the back leg. Turn on your glutes. And then go ahead and come on up. Spin your feet the other way. Take care with whatever it is that you need to adjust in your body. Okay. Let the elbow rest on the knee, shoulders away from the ears. Stretch your arm overhead. Find your breath here. Find the angle of your pelvis that's just right for your body. Check in with your knee, your back knee.
Feel the yielding between the floor and your feet, both feet. Can you sink in a bit? Can you rebound? Do you have the spin of your front foot to wake up those muscles in your left hip? Shoulders are away from the ears. Try not to collapse and sink. Find your breath. All right, come on up. This time we're going to spin to the front of our mat and come into dog pose. Inner spiral the thighs again. Deep breath in and away. Extend through the spine. Come forward into a plank. Steady yourself. Hold yourself there as best as you can. Feel the support. Deepen the breath. And then let's go ahead and put our knees down if you need to. You can come all the way to the floor. However you get to the ground safely is awesome. Find your breath. Relax here for a moment. Deep breath in and away. Inhale, come up to cobra pose. Exhale and melt back down. Now this is a very big pose that we're going to do, so I want you to be very mindful. It may not be right for your body. You're going to take your knees wide, have your feet turned out. The shins are parallel to your mat. You can turn sideways on your mat. I have 2 mats, so this is easy for me to just do in this direction and just sink back. So I don't want you to go very far in this pose. Don't overtax the rotation of your femur bones and the hip joints, so you can rock forward to make this a little bit less intense, and you can rock back to make it a little bit more intense. What does it feel like to deeply externally rotate, abduct, and flex the hips simultaneously? You're doing 3 different movements, so it's a very big thing for your femur bones here to make sure that you're not overtaxing. And then come forward, get your legs back down onto the ground, pick up your feet and windshield wiper, and enjoy the internal rotation. So the leg that's on the bottom, when you spin, the foot that's closest to the floor, that hip is internally rotating. So just hang out in that space for a moment, breathe. And then come to the other side and feel the internal rotation of that hip. Take some breaths. Just kind of countering some of the deep rotation, and then swing back and forth. And when you're ready, put your feet on the ground and rock your pelvis back and forth. See if you can let this be a little massage on your quads. Let the lower legs rest. And then as you're ready, come back up. Onto all fours, take your time, free up your back. If you need a cat-cow or a little spiral, do that. Find your way to dog pose when you're ready. Turn your toes in. So just one more release of the inner spiral before we go back to some outer spiraling. Inner spiral the thighs, take the femur bones back. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees, relax. Move around, inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Climb up, push off your feet, reach your arms to the sky, open the chest. Come back, hands to your heart. Here we are for our second round of tree pose. Stand on your right foot. This time we get to have our leg in the air, or maybe you want to repeat what we just did. So you decide where you want your foot to be. You can grab a wall or a piece of furniture if you need balance support. Try not to push the hip out or to lock the knee. Soften the knee, hug the hip in, and find your breath. Feel the deep rotation in your hip. Maybe spin your foot like you did in those other standing poses where the heel moves forward in front of you and the toes move back toward the wall behind you. Nothing's actually moving, but accessing your foot can turn on some muscles in your hip. Find the rotation in your femur bone. Lift your spine. Breathe here. Find your refuge. Balance poses create their own set of refuge because if you're really steady in the mind, who cares if the body lands steadily or not? But if you're steadying the mind to find balance, there's not a lot of room for other thought.
And then unwind that leg. Maybe hop a couple times. Let things go. And yield. Feel your feet. Sink in. Breathe. Allow the weight to sink a little deeper into your left foot. Bring your right foot to wherever it goes. So it could be on your shin, your thigh. Try not to have your heel at your knee. It's pretty stressful on the knee. Your toes can be on the floor as well. So put your arms wherever you want them. Maybe you have some different needs for your shoulders. Maybe balance is better if you have your arms wide or close. So just see what's working for you. Find a drishti, a spot to look at that doesn't move. Steady your breath. Long inhales, long exhales. Who cares if your body is wobbly? Steady the mind. Let the balance practices really be a gift for the mind, even more than for the body. Breathing deeply. Spin that foot if you want. Feel the rotators in your hip turn on. Make sure your knee you're standing on is soft. Yield a bit. Great, and then relax and release that foot. Couple hops if you want. You can swivel and sway. We're just going to fold forward, bend your knees. Okay. Inhale for a halfway lift. Maybe you want some blocks. Take your feet a little bit, actually take them all the way to the edges of your mat, wide apart. Soften the knees, inner spiral the thighs, and widen your sit bone. Just enjoy a forward fold. Let the glutes stretch and open. Breathe your way here. So at the risk of, we'll do this first. We'll stay standing. So come up to stand. Have weight into your right foot, so another balance pose here. You might need some support. This one's a little trickier than tree pose. We're going to come into figure four. So your foot, when you squat, one-legged squat, your ankle's resting on your knee. Turn your hip out, so the external rotation again. Flex your foot in the air. Having support is really nice if you need it. If you don't, palms can come to your heart. Palms can come up in the air, out, wherever you feel most comfortable. Squat a little bit in that knee. Bend it. Sit bones are drawing back and wide. Feel the breath. And feel free to go as deep into this as you want. So if you want to lean over, this is a deeper stretch for the hip. It actually makes the balance a little easier, I think. Stretch the spine. Deep breaths. You can even bring your hands to the floor if you want. I mean, heck, you could bust out an arm balance. I'm not teaching arm balances online. Inversions and arm balances are off the menu for now. I just can't see you guys enough to do things that have a little safety factor involved. And then go ahead and come on up, lift the knee, find your balance, stretch, place the foot down on the ground. Inhale, deep breath in, exhale, release. Enjoy your 2 feet on the ground. Soften, melt, yield. Take refuge, close your eyes. Take refuge in the breath, in the body. Spread out your foot. Let's lift your right knee up. So put that foot on top of your left knee, squat down. Notice if you do weird things with your hip. If you stick your hip out, see if you can keep your pelvis even and take your femur bones back behind you. Widen the sit bones. Extend the spine. Put your arms wherever you want them to be. Just notice, do you have dominance and balance one side or the other? Do you have range of motion differences between your two sides? Do you want to lean forward? Finding your breath. Staying within your boundaries. So you want to touch your boundaries, but you don't want to cross over your boundaries of range of motion. This is just not a healthy way to be. The more you touch your boundaries, the more your boundaries grow. But if you just keep crossing over them, the body gets confused about where boundaries really live if you keep crossing over them. And then inhale, reach that knee up, stretch your arm. Place your foot down onto the ground, fold forward. Step back to dog pose. Lengthen one more time through the body. Feel the inner spiral, the sit bones are reaching wide, the femur bones are back, back, back. Last time we'll cycle through this. You can always just skip it and come to child's pose if you want. Come into a plank. Steady yourself. Inner spiral your thighs. Inner thighs up toward the sky. And then slowly find your way to the floor. So maybe you come down with knees first, however you get there. Any back bend of your choice. Just find some freedom. Exhale and melt back down. Okay. Come up onto all fours. We'll just do one more hip stretch. So right foot is coming forward. Extend the leg. Feel the extension through the hip flexors. Come on up. Have a little twist. Just you can put your forearm on your knee. Other hand is supporting on your thigh. Lift and lengthen. Deep breaths here. Okay, and then exhale and relax. We're going to bring this foot into pigeon pose. So walk it over and come down. Now you might need, I forgot to tell you to have stuff nearby. So if you need blankets, support, you take that. Finding the breath. So anything that you need. And of course, if pigeon pose is just not a good pose for your body for whatever reason, your hip, your knee, your ankle, you get to flip over and be on your back. So reverse pigeon pose is on your back. Very similar to what we just did in the air with figure 4. You put your foot on your knee and you grab on. Okay, and then you can either hold the shin or the thigh and, decide which is best for you. Not what's best for your ego, but really what's best for your body. Extend the spine. If you're in pigeon pose, maybe you want a block to support underneath your head. Okay, so you can just find what's working for you. Extend the spine. Take refuge. Feel your breathing. Go ahead and come on up. Swing that leg around and switch sides. So maybe you need to do reverse pigeon pose on one side and regular pigeon pose on another side. Maybe you need more support on one side versus another side. So you just find your way. Okay. If you're coming into pigeon pose, elongate the spine. Supporting your head can be very helpful to help you turn this pose into a restorative one where you can take refuge in the body. How is your breath? So even though you might be touching up against strong sensation in your hip, can you breathe there? And if you can't, that's a boundary you just crossed. So step away from the posture until you have full access to your breath. And there's a few ways to step away. You can get more height underneath your hip. Come higher through your arms. You can bring your heel closer in toward your pubic bone so the external rotation is a little less than if you have your heel pulled out. There's lots of ways to kind of tweak the pose so that you are in your range of motion that's better for your body. Long spine.
Twist.
All right, and then as you're ready, let's go ahead. We're going to do it, Steve. Thank you. Go ahead and come out of there. We're just going backwards through it, through the whole system of where we were. Just wanted to have balance in that pigeon pose. So come into the extension, find your breath, feel dog pose, and then when you're ready, bring your foot forward, place your back knee onto the ground for just a moment. Bring the hands on the inside edge. Just feel that range of motion that we had before. Extend the spine. Feel free to pick your knee up if you want. And then we're going to come on up and we're going to find even more extension through the hip flexor. Place your forearm on your knee, extend the spine, and start to twist a little bit. So, it's not as deep of a twist as we might get otherwise, but I really want you to focus on opening up the front of the hip.
Hug into the midline, find your spine, find your breath. All right, and then go ahead and relax and come back out. Come onto all fours. Find some swirls, some spirals, anything that feels really nice to you. And then we're going to come down onto your back when you're ready. Bring your chest and rock a little bit. Deepen your breath. All right, now put your feet on the ground. If you have a block, let's take it. Just have a moment of a supported bridge pose. You can have the block on the low height, the middle height. You can stretch your legs if your body's wanting that. Just find what's feeling good for you. Breathing, no matter what you're doing, you're breathing. All right, we're going to come out of there. Hopefully this was enough setting for the sacrum. Okay. Go ahead and come out. And now I want you to do this with a lot of support. So there's so many different ways to support yourself in Supta Baddha Konasana. You can use your blocks, you can use your blankets. If you have one blanket, you can roll it into a snake and kind of tuck it over the top of your feet and then under your hips. If you have lots of props, you can prop your back up too, but you can also just be flat on your back here. The key here is I want these legs to be very supported. I don't want you to feel like you're hanging in space at all. So tuck them pretty high up toward the hips instead of just underneath the outer knee, unless you're very flexible. Maybe that's enough support for you. And then, notice if you can access symmetry. Have equal propping if you can for this pose. And rest your body. Let the support underneath your thighs be like recliners, like a recliner chair for your femur bones, where now you just get to very passively rest in the external rotation that we've been working on all class. Melt into this. This should not feel stressful in any way. What do you want to do with your arms? Do you want to cactus them? Do you want them over your head? Do you want the elbows interlaced and stretched a little bit more? Do you want them out to your side, down at your sides? Deep breaths in. Deep breaths away. Just find your refuge. All right, let's go ahead and relax out of there. Straighten your legs. Tuck the blankets next to your thighs. Give them a little support as you let them start to internally rotate. Now, there's a very complicated way of doing what we're about to do, and I'm just going to skip it for today because I don't even know if everybody has straps. So we're just going to do this very simply instead of the more complicated if you know the complicated, if I've taught you the complicated variation and you want to do it, by all means. But we're just going to take a strap across our thighs. And we're going to stick a block between our thighs. All right. So, find what's right for you. About mid-thigh is good. And then you want the strap to be pretty snug. And then I also, I like two things. Either I like to put my toes up against a wall, okay? So I have the support of the wall. Sometimes it's really nice to do this with your legs up a wall, or not up a wall, up a chair. Okay, so there's lots of ways that you can find rest in this. It's called constructive rest position. If you have, while you're getting into it, I will show you the other way, just so you know it. It's a little bit more soothing to the body, but it's complicated. So just look over here toward me, even if you're already in the position on the ground. And I have a short strap too. Well, it's kind of short. But you start out with it behind your thighs, right below your buttocks, and then you twist it in front and wrap it around back. And my strap is too short to tie, but you can have it like this, and then you pull the strap down and keep the block between your thighs. So that's the more complicated version. It tends to help your pelvis a little bit more. All right, so here we are in the beginning of Shavasana. We're going to take this off in a moment. We're not going to keep it on the whole time, but you get to just relax and start melting. Lean into the support. So the strap should be tight enough where you really feel that you can let your legs fall out like Supta Konasana, but they are supported, they're bound. So find that sense of surrender, and if you're shaking at all, you can take all this off and just let go and come into Shavasana at any time. Did a lot of hip work, so your hips might be very fatigued, and that can show up as some shakiness. Deep breaths in, deep exhales. Shoulders are soft. Take refuge. Anytime you want to slip that strap down your legs and take the block away and just be in Shavasana, you can. If you have support underneath your knees, maybe your legs are up the couch, whatever feels good. After some deep hip work like this, it's sometimes nice to have some support underneath your knees, but maybe you disagree and you'd much rather just be flat. So take stock of what your body's needing. Breathe your way. Melt your body, especially melt through your hips. Melt through your sacrum, your femur bones right in the hip joints soft. The thighs are resting. Come into the depth of your breath over and over. Keep finding your breathing. Melting through your face. Melting your spine. Feeling your shoulders and arms get heavy and relaxed.
Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Find your way into any movement that feels right, and maybe try. This is what I would suggest. If you move the props out from underneath your knees and internally rotate your legs for a moment, pigeon toe yourself, touch your toes. And then as you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and enjoy some flexion. Just rock a little bit, come back into that rocking that we did in the beginning of class. And then go ahead and find your way onto your side. Take your time. And use your arms to lift yourself upright. Let's offer. Notice if your sitting posture is more comfortable, if your hips being open. It's cultivated a little shift in how you can sit comfortably. Let's offer our practice. Share your energy, send your love and care outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.